Hi, welcome to this series of reading my book with me, Parenting with Purpose and African Wisdom. We've been looking at chapter 5, which is Parenting as Limit Setting. And today we look at self-control and the personal limit setting. How do those work together? Basically, limit setting is a way of building discipline in the child to be able to tell what to do, when to do it, how far they can go and go on. And so that they can practice values in their lives that, as we said earlier, become virtues. And then virtues form character. A limit setting is one of those abilities and disciplines that form character. Now, we've been using in this book African proverbs as well as biblical proverbs. Today's African proverb is, "As you bring up a child, so will he be." And this is actually a Swahili proverb from the people of Kenya. And then the biblical proverb is, "Like a city whose walls are broken down is a man who lacks self-control." A city whose walls are broken down is actually a man or a person who lacks self-control, from Proverbs 25 and verse 28. Let's ask ourselves, what do these proverbs mean and how are they related to self-control as part of personal limit setting? The African proverb, "As you bring up a child, so will he be," states the obvious truth that actually is not so obvious. African parents are reminded that no one can plant corn and expect to harvest wheat. We reap what we grow with consistency, and whether we realize that we are sowing or not does not stop seeds of whatever nature we scatter from falling to the ground, germinating and maturing. Maturing will, and we can only hope that we sowed in wisdom, doing the best we knew how, and seeking to know what we did not know as those seeds mature. Then we have the biblical proverb, "Like a city whose walls are broken down is a man who lacks self-control." A reminder that anyone, parent or child, who lacks self-restraint or personal limit setting is actually defenseless and like a disgraced city whose walls are broken down. And therefore, when you have walls that are down, enemies find gaps and walk in to cause havoc and destruction. Such people are surrounded by broken lives and broken hearts because their lack of restraint creates havoc and chaos in their lives and also in the lives of the dearest and the nearest. Selwyn Hughes was a great counselor and Bible teacher. And in one of his books, he talks about the need for self-control and personal limit setting. He emphasizes that, for example, sex is one of the most important areas where we need to exercise this restraint. He states that controlled sex is creative, while uncontrolled sex is chaotic. He says that sex outside marriage leads to disintegration of personality and not fulfillment, for which often people seek when they engage in sex outside marriage. And this is both for the adults and for the children as well. When the God-given gift of sex is abused outside wedlock, whether for the married or single people, disintegration may not come right away, Selwyn says, but given time, come it will. Parental stewardship that helps a child begin to internalize personal limiting is therefore very, very important. This guidance empowers a young one to avoid destructive chaos and use their God-given gifts and faculties to live a life of constructive creativity. To prevent destructive chaos from the life of the maturing child, parenting should be in partnership with God, as well as with the child, so as to eliminate the chaos of growing up. Parenting without limit setting easily allows chaos. Let us explain this kind of parenting further by placing families in what you call a continuum. A continuum has two extremes, just like cold and hot, on two ends. Now, on one end of the continuum of parenting is what you call authoritarian parenting. And this is a style which is the direct opposite of the other end, which we can call chaotic style. In the middle is what we call, in psychology, authoritative parenting. Now, what do we mean by these terms? The middle type, the authoritative parenting style, refers to parenting that is validating and encouraging, where, for example, the father is present. When he is present, he is supposed to be the natural head of the family, present physically and emotionally, and engaged in the life of the whole household. Father leads like a committee chairman, listening to each one and everyone and encouraging communication and dialogue. He notes the quiet members of the group and urges them to open up and to share. He identifies different gifts of family members and urges them to express and grow their talents. Such a leader models to his sons how to love and to protect women by loving and protecting his wife and daughters. Under such leadership of authoritative parenting, family members thrive. They identify, explore, and develop their areas of gifting, and no child is forced to be like the other or compared to the other. It is common knowledge that children born in one family can never ever be the same. Even identical children are different from one another. Some grow up to become scientists, while others are gifted artists. Some are intelligent, while others are not so endowed. Some will get straight A's in class, while others still sweat or continue to sweat and end up with a C average. The authoritative father allows each of the children to shine in the area of gifting by encouraging maximum performance to the ability of each child. Such a father does not make comparison or favor the stronger over the weaker. Now we can see why we emphasize on the father's active engagement in the family, because none of the parents and none of the parenting can be done by remote control. In this family, the mother is also a leader. She encourages her husband to take the initiative of guiding the family by actively supporting him. Now, such a couple talks and communicates a lot on the direction their family is going. They actually talk together as mother and father. Where are we going? How is our family doing? They walk what we call a shared path. They thrash out differences of opinion where they do not agree and make decisions on the way that will provide the greater holistic advantage to each child. Such communication is deep and confidential, and actually it belongs to the confines of father-mother private space away from the children. Should one of the parents disagree with the way the other is handling matters in the presence of the child, it is advisable to wait and communicate the dissent away from the child. Of course, these limitations can be extended as the children mature. However, young children develop more confidence to face life when they do not have to deal with the anxiety of parental deception. I just said young children, when there is dissent, disagreement, arguing, quarreling in front of the children, young children become very anxious. And so let's avoid placing that anxiety on the child. Once again, the supportive role of the mother's parenting and her fulfillment of maternal roles in child training presupposes that her active engagement is present in the life of each of the children. She too cannot parent by delegating her role to someone else all the time. So authoritative parenting is also possible, actually, in single families, single parent families. The parent who is present will take the leadership with the careful choice of parenting partners, as we've discussed earlier, whether it's a brother, an uncle, or a significant other, male person or female person, depends on the parent that is missing, who is in the life or engaged in the life of the child. So we've talked of the need for self-control and personal limit setting, and how parents can be engaged in actually becoming authoritative parents who lovingly validate a child and guide them, remembering that what we put into the child is what they end up becoming. The practices they develop as we guide them is what will carry them into personal self-control and the setting of limits in their own lives. Keep reading. Get a copy of your book from Keswick Center, from Oasis Africa, or you can actually check the book online.